Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today we're going to be taking another look at Harmony and specifically the price action of the one coin. As we get into this, guys, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. If you are new, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will not miss another update. Right, with all that said, done out of the way, let's get into some technical analysis here on Harmony. So we're going to start things off with the weekly chart like usual, and just to talk about where things are still going and make sure that everything is still on track. So we do have the 5 impulse waves to the upside. I mean, this is kind of topping out about 79 cent here for Harmony. Now, what we like to think about that theoretical dollar. So we have put the fifth wave right up on the dollar level. But again, our percentage gains are based on 79 cent. Okay, so we've got a lot of work still to do, and there's a little bit of resistance just up here inside our yellow box area. We'll get into that in the hourly and the daily charts in a moment, but ultimately we are talking about another 560% in gains from the current position up to the 79 cent area. Now, obviously, Harmony has had significant gains so far during this bull run, basically back from 2020 or March 2020 through to March of 2021. It had risen 18,943%. So if you're an early adopter of this project, you've done incredibly well. If you're buying at the top of wave 3, there's still gains to be made as we go up to 79 cent during the remaining part of the bull run. The fourth wave obviously has seen some retail investors shaking out the market. We've had a nice low back on our back testing on our trend line. We actually tested this line twice in our accumulation zone, which is this yellow box area here. And this actual trend line started just before the crash of March. We tested the top of this trend line back with the top of wave 1. We had the breakthrough back test on and during wave 3, and then again double checking and testing this trend basically during this fourth wave, and basically kick starting things in the fifth wave. So right now, obviously, our trend line to the upside is very, very strong, and there's a few things that are happening on the smaller time frames. So we'll get into that in a moment as well. Obviously, our other trend line at the bottom here hasn't been tested for a while, but this was the area that we were bouncing from before we went to the upside with wave 3. Okay, so on this weekly chart, everything on the candle side of things is looking pretty good. The stochastic RSI is up in overbought area. So again, like we saw when we were in some of these previous waves, right? So at the bottom of March 2020, we could see that we were oversold. And the bottom of wave 2 oversold, the bottom of wave 4 oversold, and then of course we look at going into wave 1. We were overbought for quite some time there. Wave 3 overbought for some time over here, although we did actually have a pullback and then another resurge to the upside. So going up into this overbought area is an indication that we are indeed going into this fifth wave nice and strongly, even though we haven't quite broken this key area for us just yet on the Harmony chart. So everything on the weekly chart, very, very good. Let's jump down into our daily. And here we can obviously see and make sure that everything is going according to plan here as well. Now, when it comes to the day, let me just zoom out a little bit more, bring this down. There is a downward trend in line with our upward trend. So we have our upward trend line, the one that's been back tested on a few times. And then we obviously have a downward trend. Okay, so our downward trend is basically from the top of wave 3. Again, the bounce up to the 786, rejection from the 786 going down to these lower lows, and then we've just retested this downward trend line. This is formulating a triangular wedge between the two trends, okay? So this is an interesting triangular wedge because it actually works on multiple levels. We obviously have a support line just down here, okay? And again, there's a triangular wedge there. We obviously have the key areas within this yellow box area here, right? Also having multiple areas of support in there. So what we're looking for is basically to get tighter and tighter inside these triangular wedges until one of them absolutely can't take it anymore and have that explosion to the upside. Now, this I think is going to come quite soon, but you know, I think timing is usually quite hard and sometimes unpredictable. But ultimately, we are looking at trying to push to the upside imminently when it comes to Harmony. I think this downward trend is not going to survive all too much longer, and if it does, then obviously we can fall back down to this trend line down here or support line down here at 9.1 cent, but I do think that's actually now very, very unlikely. And with that being said, this whole triangular wedge on the bigger piece does come to an end towards the end of the year, so we could see a parabolic run, pretty powerful one as well towards the end of the cycle if we do not break this downward trend line for a couple of months. So again, watch this. I think there's going to be some interesting times ahead. Obviously, this yellow box area is where we want to see the weekly close candle above. We haven't quite got there. So we do need to break this in order to really push up. And then we'll go into this piece right here, which is where the main kind of work really goes. And once we're past this point, and that's where things are really going to start heating up here for Harmony. As we go up to the first target is 33.3 cent. The second target is 51 cent, followed by 68 cent and then 79. And again, we might just overextend, hit the dollar before we start to come back down in the bear market. I don't think we're likely to actually go higher than a dollar. I'd like to. It wouldn't take a lot of money to go higher than that, but I just think there's too many barriers. I don't think we're going to necessarily see that push past a dollar. So 79 cents is a nice sensible area. A dollar is an area that it might extend to, and before we start getting rejected. And again, from where we are to the top here of 79 cent, it is 560%. So nothing has changed there between the daily and the weekly. Everything is aligned as you would expect. So when we actually jump down into our hourly view, actually before we do that, just go back up here for a second. On the daily, we can of course see that we are heading to the overbought area, but we're not overbought just yet. So we had this nice run to the upside just here, right? Most recently when we're oversold going up to the overbought area. And when we go down into our daily, we can see that we're oversold here, right? So again, now we're looking for that surge to the upside as we retest this downward trend. Okay, so here we can see a lot of work going on. We can find good support being found here at 11.9. We're oversold on our stochastic, so a little bit more sideways trading before we slowly move our way back up and try to get above this trend line. And more importantly, trying to get above this area just here, which I think is the 50% retracement zone. Let me just shoot this back down a little bit and see. I'm pretty certain it is the 50%. Yeah, it's the 50% retracement. So basically we're up against a couple of things right now on this chart. The Fibonacci retracement zone of 50% is the green line, this one just here. And then obviously we have our downward trend line. Okay, so getting this kind of lined up and breaking both of those above this area and then back testing on our 50% retracement zone would be probably the ideal scenario. Then that'll take us into and above the 618 at a later stage, 702, 786, and then off to new all-time highs after that, really. So, and there's only a little bit left to go. We've got a little bit more quite decent restrictions here in terms of resistance. But once we get past those, I think Harmony is going to absolutely fly. A project doing as much as it is, I think there's going to be some real good news on the horizon soon. So do watch that space. I think we're going to see some pretty cool things happen here this year with Harmony. And I think this is going to absolutely blow people's minds when it gets going again, like it did previously. So guys, if we are ever in doubt, we make sure we zoom out, we check what's going on when it goes to the weekly chart, because we can get lost in those hourly charts, those daily charts, but really the only thing that matters is where the progress is going with the longer time views, right? Obviously we have a lot of work to do, but there's some good motion now to the upside. Harmony is performing quite nicely. It has obviously been quite slow for many in the space, but actually for the most part, there's very few projects that have delivered quite as many gains, and Harmony has been a pretty good gainer for our portfolio. So really well. It's going to continue to do well. It's going to peak out there, hopefully towards that 79 to $1 level, before we go into a bear market and go and accumulate some more. So guys, if you are holding Harmony, make sure you delegate it. We do run a pool under the ticker 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏. Check that out. We were always maximizing returns for you guys, so do check the pool out, and you'll earn even more Harmony, and you'll be able to earn a nice passive income before we go and lock in those profits. So guys, hopefully you have found this update on Harmony useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. Right, with that said, done out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.